Hi, everyone. Previously, I did a video with an old friend of mine, Brad Gould, on the topic of accounting and law. In case you haven't checked out that video yet on my YouTube channel, I highly encourage you to do so. Now, today, I wanted to invite another one of my old friends from graduate school. Her name is Jongjit Wongsrikasem, and I wanted to have her come speak on that topic as well, so as to offer a different perspective. Now, Jongjit is currently a senior tax counsel at Chevron. Before this, she worked at PWC in their international tax practice, as well as a global law firm, Mayer Brown, which is one of the 25 largest law firms in the world. In regards to her educational background, she's accomplished quite a bit. She received her bachelor's degree in business administration from USC. And in addition, she also got her master's degree in business taxation from USC. After working for a couple of years, she went back to school again and got her law degree from the University of Maryland. Now, before we get to the questions, I actually want to share two interesting facts about Jongjit as well as myself with my viewers. Now, the fact number one, Jongjit and I became friends when we took the same classes at USC's Master's in Business Taxation program. Now, to my surprise, I found out we actually have the same birthday, which is July 7th. Fact number two, at the time, the average student age in USC's Master's in Accounting and Master's in Business Taxation program was 25 years old. When I started the program, I thought I, at the age of 22, was the youngest person in the program. But once I found out we had the same birthday, I also found out to my surprise that Jongjit actually was she had the title of the youngest person in the program. She was only 21 years old when she started the program. Now, just because she was young, didn't mean anything. I mean, she still was like at the top of my class. So Jongjit, thank you for staying in contact with me. And thank you so much for coming to do this video today to educate my students on the topic of having a career in both accounting and law.
It's a pleasure, Ming. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, I have a bunch of questions prepared for you today. So let's get started. The first question I had is, now I mentioned before that I did a video earlier with my friend Brad, who has a master's degree in accounting and taxation, as well as a law degree. Now, he opted to finish his education all at one time before working in the industry. You, on the other hand, opted to study accounting first, work for a couple of years in accounting and taxation, and then go to law school. You know, I know friends who've done it Brad's way as well as your way, where some follow Brad's method, which was they finish all of their education, including their law degree first, and then worked and worked and worked, right? Your way is a bit of education first, work for a few years, and then finish your law degree. So I have actually a two-part question to this. The first question is, can you tell me why you elected to get a master's degree in taxation and work in industry before going to law school? And the second part is, which approach do you recommend to my students?
So I was always very interested in studying business, and my intention had always been to go to graduate school at some point. When I was at USC, at the point when I realized that I actually had enough credits to finish my undergraduate degree a year earlier than anticipated, I considered whether I would then apply for a job or, maybe stay an extra year and do a double major. Someone had pointed the USC's Masters of Accounting program out to me, and the more I thought about it, it became a very attractive option for a few reasons. One is, I think a deeper and fuller understanding of accounting is fundamental for a business, no matter which area of business you go into. And I was already at USC. It has one of the best programs in the country. And it was also an accelerated program, so you could finish in 2 to 3 semesters. So, to me, it made a lot of sense because I was still going to spend the 4 years that I intended to spend at USC and leave with more. So I enrolled in the Masters of Accounting program initially. And as I became more exposed or got more exposure to tax courses, I realized that I was actually more interested with tax. So I switched from the Masters of Accounting program to the Masters of Business Taxation program. After I finished that degree, I decided to work for a little bit before pursuing another degree, which was law school. And really that was because I was very young, as Ming said, I started the program when I was 21. And I really wanted to sort of go out there and get some real world experience and sort of, just learn a little bit more about myself in a different setting before I take on any other big commitments. And as far as your question about, what is the approach I recommend, I don't think there is a right or wrong answer here. I think the path that you choose will really depend on what your objectives are and how clear those objectives are to you. Bear in mind also that your goals and your timing can also change as conditions around you or opportunity costs change. So there's not necessarily one best approach. In my case, I chose to go and work first before getting a law degree because I really wasn't sure when I left graduate school that I was definitely going to do law school. And I really wanted some time to just mature a little bit more, maybe gain some new perspectives before taking on another big educational commitment. That said, I will share that I have worked with a lot of very brilliant people who went kindergarten through law school, as well as people who have chosen to work first before going to law school. So from an intellectual perspective, I haven't really seen a big difference. I think it really just comes down to, sort of what kind of experience do you want? And for me, it was important to get some real world experience and find myself and get some new perspectives before going to law school.
Now, you're currently a senior tax counsel at Chevron, which is a Fortune 500 company. And so I know that position is probably a position that a number of my students may want to aim for in the future. So can you briefly share with my students what you do and what is a typical day like for you?
I am a counsel in the international tax planning group in the company's corporate tax department. In my current role, I have oversight of tax matters for a number of the company's business units in Asia. As the go-to US tax contact for these businesses, I directly support our local finance and tax teams. I provide, tax advice as well as sort of strategic direction on any key tax or tax-related matters, as well as sort of just looking out for some planning opportunities. And because of the greater visibility that I have being in the corporate tax department, I can help to ensure alignment in the consequences and the results across the enterprise, as well as assess any US tax implications. When we move to implementation phase, because when you're working in-house, it's not just coming up with ideas and doing analysis. At some point, we also have to implement. When we get to that stage, I also assist on that front, and that typically requires a lot of coordination with various other functions and stakeholders. On a typical day, there could be a number of projects that I work on. To push the projects forward, I have a lot of meetings, interactions with tax and non-tax colleagues, as well as external advisors, both in the US and internationally, as we continue to analyze the issues and to ensure that implementation happens in the proper way. A typical day for me would also include a number of meetings or calls with my local contacts in Asia. And, with people in the local offices as well as the regional offices, working ongoing issues, trying to anticipate new issues that might come up. And I think also more importantly, perhaps, is learning the business, just trying to understand what's happening on the ground. And I think that part is also a very important aspect of my job, because until you begin to understand the business, it's harder to identify planning opportunities. So on a day-to-day basis, it's a lot of working with people, learning the business, and trying to do sort of a thorough job on the analysis and how we make sure that we implement in a timely and efficient manner.
Thank you for sharing that. Earlier in your career, you worked at PWC and International Tax Services. Can you tell my students more about that group, such as what you did on a regular basis? What is a typical day like for you over there as well?
So PWC was the beginning of my career, and that was quite some time ago. But I joined PWC in San Jose. So being in Silicon Valley, there were many tech clients, as you can imagine, and there were also a lot of planning opportunities around intangible property. So as a new associate, I recall doing a lot of research and drafting memos on various international tax issues, and most notably in the area of Subpart F, which is the part of the code that addresses anti-deferral of US taxes for certain income that's earned by foreign subs or foreign subsidiaries. And PwC also exposed me very early to sort of client interactions. So on a day-to-day basis, there was also a lot of client calls and meetings that I would participate in.
And you have a strong background in taxation as well as law, which is very, very rare. Are there certain career fields that prefer to hire professionals with that respect? Both a strong taxation background as well as a law background, such as state and local tax or gift and estate planning?
So I think it's very rare to find somebody who has both a CPA license and a law license. And obviously that combination is very valuable. I only have a law degree. I do not have a CPA license. And I'm not aware of fields that would require one to have both. But obviously I think it's very helpful to actually have both licenses, or at least be conversant in both subjects as far as appreciating both the accounting and legal aspects of an issue.
Okay, last question. I always ask my guests to share some advice with my students about how to be successful in one's career and also just life in general. I know you probably have a lot to share because I consider you to be super successful, but could you just give my students your top 3 tips for success?
There's certainly been many lessons I've had to learn along the way, and a lot of this was imparted to me by people who are much wiser than me. So let me share with you 3 things that I think I constantly try to remind myself. One is to aim for growth and maintain integrity. And to me, that means any degree of improvement, either of yourself or maybe helping someone else along. Perseverance and trying to keep an open mind. When there are setbacks or mistakes, because there will be, you just have to try and pick yourself up and sort of learn from those experiences. If there's been successes, understand what you did right, and more importantly, why it was the right thing to do, so that you can replicate in the future or maybe do it even better. And I think as a professional, I was told very early on that your reputation will precede you. So it's a very important asset, and maybe your most important asset. So make sure that you protect that asset and work with integrity. My second advice is to develop and nurture meaningful relationships. I believe that being an effective professional of any kind really is as much a people business as it is the business of practicing the technical skills that we've learned. And it's also a very small circle. So your career will also be a lot more rewarding if you have, a solid or a strong network of mentors, colleagues, and friends to grow with and, to continually learn from. And every now and then you may have to lean on. So remember to take care of each other. And my last one, which I am sure we talk about a lot or hear about a lot, but probably not practiced enough, is don't forget to take care of yourself along the way. That's, both physically and mentally. Whatever that translates to for you, just make sure that, you look after yourself, because no one else can do that for you. And remember that life has many facets, and these different aspects are not compartmentalized. We take our whole self to work and we take our whole self home. So at the end of the day, your career is just one aspect of your life. So remember to take care of yourself.
Well, Jongjit, thank you for sharing these tips, and also, of course, for answering all of the questions I had asked earlier. I think the advice you shared will be greatly beneficial to my students who are considering a career in law. So, hey, again, thank you so much for coming today and making this video with me. And I hope we can still stay in touch, and maybe we can do another video in the future.
I hope so. Thank you, Ming.